Hey everyone, and welcome to the S79 sewing tutorials. So today, with Valentine's Day just around the corner, I thought I'd bring a nice little project of how to make one of these cute little Valentine's Day wall hangings. Okay, so we're going to need to make 8 of these little hearts, and you do need quite a bit of stuffing because they need to be quite plump so that they hold their shape when it's hanging upright. So we're going to look at making one little heart and then how we put all 8 together. Okay, so I'm going to start off with a basic heart template. Okay, so just for reference, the heart template that I'm using is just under 5 inches wide and measuring, folding in half, measuring from the indent to the bottom is 4 inches. And from the very top to the very bottom, 4.5 inches. So that's the sort of size we're looking at. Okay, so we're just going to look at making one heart at the moment, and then I will talk you through assembling them all together. So take your fabric, and we're going to start cutting them out. So the best way to do this, because of the intricate cutting, is not with a rotary cutter, but just literally, you can double over your fabric to get more out of it, and just simply place your heart pattern down using a pen, pencil, anything really. Just mark out and draw around your pattern. There we are. So once you've got your pattern drawn out, you can just cut them out, and if you cut 2 together, it does speed up the process. There we are. So once you've got your pieces cut out, you can start assembling the hearts. So once you have your heart template cut out and you've got 2 pieces layered together, you're going to want to start stitching around the outside. Now we need to leave a small gap for turning, so I'm just going to mark that out, and you want to leave the turning gap on this straight edge here. So you want to come up a little bit from the point, so put a mark on there. And then I'm going to leave enough space for me to turn the whole heart the right way out. So I'm going to stop about there. So we're going to leave this gap open, but stitch all the way around here, all the way around here, and back up to there. And I'm going to start at this mark here. So here's the marks that we're going to leave no stitches on. And I'm going to start here, come down to the corner, pivot, and carry on up there. I'm using pink thread, so hopefully you can see. I'm trying to keep the seam allowance quite small on this, so I'm just using the edge of my presser foot as a guide here. It's probably just about 6 millimeters, so there's the 1 centimeter seam allowance there, but I'm just coming over a little bit more, so it's a little bit closer to the edge. And we start with the forwards and backwards to lock the stitches, and then stitch down. Use the hand dial just to get it in exactly the right place, and with your needle down, lift up the foot, pivot round, foot back down again, and carry on stitching. As you get into the curve, you're going to place your fingers down quite firmly and use it to try and ease the fabric round so that you're creating this curve. And you get a nice curved edge. Now as you come down, you're going to stop exactly in a line with this edge here. You can use the hand dial just to turn it, have a little look, check you're happy with where that's going to be. I need to come a little bit further down, so I'm just turning it 1 more stitch down. And that's lovely, and now we can carry on. Remember, we need to stop here with the forwards and backwards. And there we are. And so there you can see the stitching is nice and rounded. We haven't got any angles or sharp points, and it goes all the way down, and we're stopping just here and carrying it on. Obviously we've left this gap here for turning. So the next thing when you're doing a heart is to make sure that when we turn it back the right way out, that the seam allowance doesn't get in the way. There's a lot of seam allowance here, which when turned to the inside will create bulk and won't allow the seam to lie flat. So the first thing we're going to do is clip the corner. So careful not to clip your stitches, but just clip up there and up there. So what we're doing here is reducing the amount of bulk that's going to be going into that point when we turn it through. But do be careful not to actually clip your stitches. Leave a small amount, just obviously to hold those stitches in place. The next thing is we're going to clip into this section to create that nice, and again be careful of your stitches, just clip down there. So as you can see, I've clipped that open there but not gone through the stitches. We need to either cut clips out of this section or use pinking shears. Okay, the straight edges are fine, but it's the curved edge, because when this is turned inside out, all of this extra seam allowance is going to crinkle up and cause a problem. So if you have pinking shears, I have got some, but they're a little bit blunt. So if you have got pinking shears, then obviously you can again clip quite closely to the edge and create this zigzag notched edge. If your fabric's particularly open weave, then don't go too close. So just cutting all the way around. My scissors are a little bit blunt, so it's a bit tough. And that's all we need to do just on that section there. If you don't have pinking shears, then you can simply do some little cuts all the way around, not cutting your stitches. Do them quite regular intervals so that the curves work really nicely. And you can see there I've got that's all opened up there with little cuts. So now we can turn it the right way out. So just going to carefully reach my finger in and grab hold of it like that and push it through. Use your finger just to push out the shape of it. So you can see there, these edges are starting to form. A good idea once you've got it the right way out is just to roll it between your fingers. It just helps that seam line to come out to the edge. And then finally just the bottom, and I'm using the end of my seam ripper. Use something that's not too sharp, but that's got a point on it, and I'm just using that to work down the bottom part of the heart. There we are. So that's all pushed out and that's all laying nicely now. There we are. And now we are ready to start filling the heart. So I've got some filler. So take some fibre fill. We're just going to, not that. Just going to start pushing it in. If you're going to be making the circular heart decoration, then you do need to fill these quite full, so that they're stiff enough to hold the circular shape. Have a little feel of it, check that you're happy with the plumpness of it. I'm just going to squeeze a little bit more in. And as you've been filling it up, as you can see, this open edge, just need to push this in and hand stitch this closed. Now you can machine stitch it closed. You can obviously put it under your machine and run a row of stitches down there. But I think it looks quite nice if you just use a nice ladder stitch just to close that off. So we'll do that now. I'm just going to go start my stitching the upper end. Reason being is if you start at the lower end, the thread will end up getting stuck around. There we are. Pull it through. Just do a little knot. Use matching thread when you're doing yours, it will be better. So just folding this edge in, holding it with my finger closed, And I'm just going to do a small stitch on this side and a small stitch on the other side. This is ladder stitch. It will close up the opening. So you can see it's forming like a ladder. Push that in. And as we pull it tight, it closes it all up. Just carry on stitching along. And go past the opening and just finish it off. There we are. So if you use matching thread, that gives a lovely closure. And snip that. And there we are. We have one heart finished. Okay, so once you have 8 hearts put together and all closed up, make sure they are quite firm so that they hold their shape. You're going to take a needle and thread. Now I'm going to use a mattress needle, which is very long needle. You can use an ordinary sewing needle, but you will need to be careful because you're going to be threading the needle and pushing it all the way through the heart and out the other side. So you're going to need to take care not to stab yourself, but also to be able to thread it through like that. And obviously the longer the needle you have, the easier it is. I'm just going to thread my needle. There we are. Put it all the way through. Get a nice long piece. Makes life a lot easier. So taking the thread doubled, you're going to take a heart, going to push your needle through, all the way through, straight across and carefully out the other side. So you're threading it onto the thread and pull it all the way down. I'm going to leave a small end and to leave a small tail hanging out, and then you're quite simply going to keep threading one at a time all the way across. Okay, so next we're going to go back in that hole, come out diagonally and come out a little bit further down. So you can see we're going to go all the way across but further down. Keep going round. We're going to tie them in a knot. Clip off the ends and just feed them all around to smooth them all out. And there you have your hearts hanging, which won't flop or fall out of shape.